I'm Tariq Melrose. Watching today's press event was like watching a plot twist everyone saw coming, except the people writing it. They call it leadership. I call it improv with high stakes. If you're ready to sort through the noise, subscribe now, because while they spin the narrative, we're here to unravel it, and it's about to get messy, in a good way. When Marjorie Taylor Greene melts down in Congress, it's not strength, it's projection, deflection, and pure political theater. Welcome to The Clip, where we cut through the MAGA noise and expose the GOP's dangerous circus act, one meltdown at a time.
I would like to express in the strongest words possible that I support the police, and we should be supporting the police here in our nation's capital, because it's our nation's capital that has one of the highest murder rates in our country, one of the worst crime records in our nation's history, and is an absolute embarrassment to our country. I'd also like to remind everyone that one of our own colleagues was carjacked months ago here in Washington, D.C. We also just had a former Trump admin official die because he was shot here in our nation's capital. And many Hill staffers themselves have been attacked just walking the city streets. This is an ongoing crime epidemic here in our nation's capital, and it's appalling. We should be supporting police officers, not attacking Americans' gun rights, while all of us walk around under the protection of good guys with guns. Capitol Police carry those AR-15s and guard all of us, but yet Democrats would love to take away the gun rights of American citizens and blame guns that never get up by themselves and shoot people. Murder is already a crime. People kill people, and they don't just kill them with guns. They kill them with knives. They kill them with fists. They kill them with objects. They strangle them. But yet I just listened to one of my colleagues say that we need to disarm Americans in order to somehow stop crime in Washington, D.C. We should
Will the gentlelady yield?
No, I will not. We should be protecting and supporting police officers. I also heard President Trump come under attack once again because Democrats have nothing else to say to defend their own policies but attack President Trump. I'd like to remind everyone that it was Antifa, BLM, by the way, supported by Democrats. BLM as an organization raised millions and millions of dollars on Act Blue, the Democrat fundraising site. And then BLM riots across America that were endorsed heavily by Democrats and apologized and said mostly peaceful protests by media who are totally defending Democrats constantly. These riots caused $2 billion in damage across America. I'd also like to remind everyone that in 2017, when President Trump was inaugurated, that rioters nearly burned down Washington, D.C. That's right, nearly burned down the city here. But oh, we've got to attack President Trump every single day. You know, it was also Democrats that said things like, I don't know why there aren't uprisings everywhere. That was our former Speaker of the House. Our current Vice President, before the election of 2020, said, we will not stop. We won't stop, talking about these BLM riots. Also, one of our Democrat colleagues is on video. By the way, all of this is on video, their statements. And she was talking about Trump supporters, and she said, when you see them, you make a crowd, surround them wherever they are. These are the statements that come from our Democrat colleagues, but they want to attack President Trump every single day and take away police officers' ability to stop criminals and arrest criminals and protect our city streets, our community streets, and our nation's capital. And I'm sick and tired of it. It is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. So, Mr. Chairman, I would like to say I support the amendment that you just spoke on and introduced. And I would urge my colleagues to pay attention very carefully. The American people are paying attention, and they're not stupid. Just because you have a little microphone you can talk in doesn't mean that you can sit here and lie to the American people every single day. They can read the crime statistics. We all know you can't walk around this city without being in danger of being robbed or carjacked or murdered maybe. My goodness, how horrible is that? So let's support our police officers. Let's vote for good things to help citizens in this city. And Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Will the gentlelady yield for a question?
No, I will not yield to one of your stupid questions that are always attacking me and attacking President Trump.
How about a mediocre question?
No, I don't want to. I do not want
an
your
excellent question.
No,
a smart question.
No, my time.
An intelligent question.
You have no smart or intelligent questions.
Chair now recognizes Mr. Garcia for 5 minutes.
Thank you. That was a lot. I want to remind the gentle lady that it was her that actually organized a trip to the D.C. jail to hug and high five and sit with the insurrectionists that actually attacked our Capitol. So if we're talking about the safety of D.C. and the Capitol, it's just quite, I think, ironic. This is all facts. This is quite ironic that the insurrectionists that tried to overthrow our government in the capital city were being coddled. We're actually being coddled by, it's a shame that you call them political prisoners or hostages, I think maybe you called them. They actually try to overthrow our government. Let me continue with my time.
She's not recognized.
Thank you. So I think it's quite interesting that my colleague trying to talk about the safety of D.C. When she literally supported an insurrection and attack on the Capitol, visited the prisoners. I was there as one of 2 Democrats there as part of that visit on behalf of this committee, and seeing her high five folks that want to overthrow our government. So quite ridiculous. And if she's so interested in fixing Washington, D.C., maybe she should run for mayor of D.C. It's what she seems to be interested in. She's obsessed with everything going on. I just want to remind folks that D.C. and the district has a mayor. They have a city council. They're trying to pass regulations. They're trying to work. There's definitely challenges. They're working very hard on those. And overall, let's remember that crime all across the country has actually decreased over the last couple of years. It has not increased. It's decreased. And with that, I yield back my time.
Well, Mr. Would you yield?
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for your trenchant remarks, Mr. Garcia. Trying to pierce through the fog of propaganda, confusion, disinformation, and just lies that we just heard. Distinguished gentlelady, who I'd be very happy to yield some of my time to answer the question, started off by complaining about the murder rate in Washington, the carjacking in Washington, and gun violence. And the question that I wanted to pose to the gentlelady, which she anticipated as a stupid question, was simply what she thinks in this legislation that we're here to discuss, 5798, will bring down the murder rate or bring down carjacking or bring down gun violence in Washington. Because the sole purpose of the legislation, as I can read it, is simply to say that the chief of police no longer has disciplinary authority over his or her own police force, but instead it will be subject to collective bargaining. Now, that might be a great policy for the gentlelady's district in Georgia. I'd be interested to know where the municipalities in her district are on that question. But in any event, the people of Washington, D.C. have dealt with this repeatedly. We've got a letter right here, which I submitted for the record, from 12 out of 13 members of the D.C. City Council saying, please don't change our law. We have the statements of 4 different chiefs of police saying, please don't change our law. We've got cops who've been convicted of sexual violence, assault, domestic violence, and I'm not even certain the gentlelady from Georgia understood what she was speaking for, because she was talking about the murder rate and carjacking, and unless she's saying that police officers who may be removed from the force in D.C. for having committed a sexual assault or domestic violence are more likely to help bring down the murder rate, then her remarks are completely nonsensical. It was much ado about nothing. So thank you for allowing me to make that point. I yield back to you, Mr. Garcia.
Would the gentleman yield to a question?
Sure.
You mentioned that crime was down nationwide. Then why isn't it down in Washington, D.C.? You have any idea?
I mean, let me just say, I served as mayor of a city of 500,000 people for 8 years. Crime trends go up and down. You look at overall crime rates, you look at violent crime. crime overall across the country has gone down. Not everywhere. There are areas of Kentucky and other places in the country that crime has gone up. But why? But if we're so focused on just D.C., then we should focus on places like Kentucky and Arkansas and Texas and other cities where crime is also slightly going up.
Well, and if the gentleman would yield on
Absolutely.
that point, there have been increases in different categories in crime in the gentlelady's own state that she represents, Georgia. If collective bargaining is the solution to that, would she support collective bargaining for public workers in Georgia? Because it's not allowed there. And she doesn't seem to understand that she just became a champion of collective bargaining and the right to organize a union. And I would invite her to come back to proclaim her new pro-union sympathies publicly for her own state as well.
We would support her on the PRO Act, actually, if you would like to vote for the PRO Act.
Gentlemen's time's expired. Do any other members wish to be recognized? Ms. Norton?
Welcome back to Tarek Melrose Vlogs, where we don't let rage-fueled rants go unchecked and we drag hypocrisy into the light of day. Today, we're diving into yet another unhinged congressional outburst by none other than Marjorie Taylor Greene. So, buckle up, because this one's packed with fear-mongering, gaslighting, and the same tired MAGA script we've heard 100 times over. Let's begin with the obvious. Greene's entire performance had less to do with improving public safety and everything to do with preserving political power through chaos. Her fiery speech, filled with dramatic hand-wringing over crime in Washington, D.C., wasn't a plea for reform. It was a distraction. It's a script we've seen before. Inflate crime stats, paint the Capitol as a war zone, blame Democrats, rinse, repeat. But here's what she doesn't want you to remember. Crime is down across America. That's right, down. According to the FBI, violent crime rates in many major cities, including D.C., have dropped in the past year. So why the hysteria? Because fear sells. And for Republicans like Greene, who have no real policy to stand on, scaring their voters into submission is the last move on the board. Her rant wasn't just inaccurate, it was deeply cynical. She slammed Democrats for attacking Trump, then immediately pivoted into a conspiracy theory medley about BLM, Antifa, and the 2017 inauguration protests. It's all one big stew of grievance politics meant to shift focus away from the actual subject of the hearing, how to improve public safety and accountability. Let's get something else clear. Greene loves to play the victim. She complained about being attacked by colleagues, but then proceeded to insult anyone who dared question her logic, even snapping, "I will not yield to your stupid questions." That's not governance, that's petulance. But perhaps the most revealing moment of all came when Congressman Garcia calmly reminded her, on the record, that she visited the DC jail to cozy up to January 6th insurrectionists. That's right, the same people who tried to violently overturn a democratic election, Greene calls political prisoners. And she has the audacity to lecture Democrats on public safety? Give us a break. The irony is blinding. Greene cries foul about crime in the Capitol while literally embracing the people who attacked it. This isn't patriotism, it's performative authoritarianism. She wants us to believe she supports law enforcement, but only when it serves her ideology. When police defended the Capitol on January 6th, she downplayed their bravery and elevated their attackers. And then there's her laughable argument about guns. Greene claims Democrats want to strip law-abiding Americans of their rights, all while she stands surrounded by Capitol Police with AR-15s. That's not freedom, that's privilege. Real freedom is being able to walk your neighborhood without fear of being shot. Real freedom is knowing your kids are safe at school. Democrats are fighting for that freedom, not the NRA's twisted version of it. Greene's talking points about BLM are also a masterclass in disinformation. Let's be honest, the majority of Black Lives Matter protests were peaceful. That's not a leftist opinion, it's a documented fact. But Greene would rather cite a few outliers and act like the entire movement was a riot. That's because the GOP isn't interested in nuance. They want a boogeyman. And if that boogeyman happens to be black and fighting for justice, even better for their base. And did you catch the not-so-subtle racism buried in all this? Every time Greene invokes the crime wave,
It's code. It's not about data. It's about stoking fear of poor, urban, Black and brown communities. She doesn't care about reducing crime. She cares about winning votes off the backs of fear and prejudice. Now, let's talk policy, something Greene clearly has no interest in. The legislation she was supposedly supporting, it would strip the DC chief of police of disciplinary power over officers and hand it over to collective bargaining agreements. In other words, it weakens accountability. And yet, Greene insists this bill is the answer to gun violence and murder rates. Huh? What she really revealed, unintentionally of course, was her opposition to oversight. She's fine with cops who commit sexual assault or domestic violence staying on the force, as long as they can swing a baton at a protester she doesn't like. That's not pro-police. That's pro-power abuse. Representative Raskin and Representative Garcia's responses were a masterclass in calm, focused, fact-driven rebuttal. Instead of yelling, they exposed the thin logic and naked contradictions in Greene's rant. Raskin pointed out how the bill does nothing to lower murder rates and would in fact protect officers accused of serious misconduct. Garcia reminded us that while Greene yells about crime, she was busy high-fiving seditionists. That's the difference between governance and grandstanding, between those working for justice and those performing for clicks. In closing, this hearing was yet another reminder that MAGA Republicans have no real solutions, just rage, no vision, just volume, and no plan, just performative politics. Marjorie Taylor Greene doesn't want to fix DC. She wants to turn it into a soundstage for her grievance-fueled brand, and we're not buying it. Thanks for tuning in to Tariq Melrose Vlogs. If you're tired of the nonsense, if you believe facts matter, and if you're ready to fight back against the right-wing noise machine, hit that subscribe button, share this clip, leave a comment, and keep pushing for a politics rooted in truth, empathy, and actual results. Stay loud, stay clear, and stay committed to the facts.